Oh, I think I need to fix that. I bet I used that for a different recording. All right, let's try this. Oh, that's better. Okay, here we are. An apparition at the door. Once I got up in the middle of the night because I was thirsty, and I saw Mom standing outside Augie's room. Her hand was on the doorknob, her forehead leaning on the door, which was ajar. She wasn't going in his room or stepping out. Just the hallway lights were out. The only thing illuminating her was the blue nightlight in August's room. She looked ghost-like standing there, or maybe I should say angelic. I tried to walk back into my room without disturbing her, but she heard me and walked over to me. Is Augie okay? I asked. I knew that sometimes he would wake up choking on his own saliva if he accidentally turned over on his back. Oh, he's fine, she said, wrapping her arms around me. She walked me back into my room, pulled the covers over me, and kissed me goodnight. She never explained what she was doing outside the door, and I never asked. I wonder how many nights she stood outside his door, and I wonder if she ever stood outside my door like that. Breakfast. Can you pick me up from school today? I said the next morning, smearing some cream cheese on my bagel. Mom was making August's lunch, American cheese on whole wheat bread, soft enough for Augie to eat, while August sat eating oatmeal at the table. Dad was getting ready to go to work. Now that I was in high school, the new school routine was going to be that Dad and I would take the subway together in the morning, which meant him having to leave 15 minutes earlier than usual. Then I'd get off at my stop, and he'd keep going. And my mom was going to pick me up after school in the car. I was going to call Miranda's mother to see if she could drive you home again, I answered. No, Mom, I said quickly. You pick me up, or I'll just take the subway. You know I don't want you to take the subway by yourself yet, she answered. Mom, I'm 15. Everybody my age takes the subway by themselves. She can take the subway home, said Dad from the other room, adjusting his tie as he stepped into the kitchen. Why can't Miranda's mother just pick you up again? Mom argued with me. She's old enough to take the subway by herself, Dad insisted. Mom looked at both of us. Is something going on? She didn't address her question to either one of us in particular. You would know if you had to come back to check on me, I said spitefully, like you said you would. Oh, God, Via, said Mom, remembering now that she had completely ditched me last night. She put down the knife she was using to cut August's grape in half. Still a choking hazard for him because of the size of his palate. I'm so sorry. I fell asleep in Augie's room. By the time I woke up, I know, I nodded indifferently. Mom came over, put her hand on my cheek, and lifted my face up to look at her. I'm really, really sorry, she whispered. I could tell she was. It's okay, I said. Via, Mom, it's fine. This time I meant it. She looked so genuinely sorry, I just wanted to let her off the hook. She kissed and hugged me, then returned to the grapes. So, is something going on with Miranda, she said. Just that she's acting like a complete jerk, I said. Miranda's not a jerk, Augie quickly chimed in. She can be, I yelled. Believe me. Okay, then. I'll pick you up. No problem, Mom said decisively, sweeping the half grapes into a snack bag with the side of her knife. That was the plan all along, anyway. I'll pick Augie up from school in the car, then I will pick you up. We'll probably get there about 3:45. No, I said firmly before she'd even finished. Isabel, she can take the subway, said Dad impatiently. She's a big girl now. She's reading War and Peace, for crying out loud. What does War and Peace have to do with anything? Answered Mom, clearly annoyed. It means you don't have to pick her up in the car like she's a little girl, he said sternly. Via, are you ready? Get your bag and let's go. I'm ready, I said, pulling out my backpack. Goodbye, Mom. Goodbye, Augie. I kissed them both quickly and headed toward the door. Do you even have a Metro card? Mom said after me. Of course she has a Metro card, answered Dad, fully exasperated. Yeesh, Mama. Stop worrying so much. Bye, he said, kissing her on the cheek. Bye, big boy, he said to August, kissing him on the top of his head. I'm proud of you. Have a good day. Bye, Daddy. You too. Dad and I jogged stooped stairs and headed down the block. Call me after school before you get on the subway, Mom yelled at me from the window. I didn't even turn around but waved my hand at her so she knew I heard her. Dad did turn around, walking backward for a few steps. War and peace, Isabel, he called out, smiling as he pointed at me. War and peace. Genetics 101. Both sides of my dad's family were Jews from Russia and Poland. Papa's grandparents fled the pogroms and ended up in NYC at the turn of the century. Tata's parents fled the Nazis and ended up in Argentina in the 40s. Papa and Tata met at a dance in the Lower East Side while she was in town visiting a cousin. They got married, moved to Bayside, and had Dad and Uncle Ben. Mom's side of the family is from Brazil. Except for her mother, my beautiful grands, and her dad, Augusto, who died before I was born, the rest of Mom's family, all her glamorous aunts, uncles, and cousins, still live in Alto Leblon, a ritzy suburb south of Rio. Grands and Augusto moved to Boston in the early 60s and had Mom and Aunt Kate, who's married to Uncle Porter. Mom and Dad met at Brown University and have been together ever since. Isabel and Nate, like two peas in a pod. They moved to New York right after college, had me a few years later, then moved to a brick townhouse in North River Heights, the hippie stroller capital of the upper Manhattan, when I was a year old. Not one person in the exotic mix of my family gene pool has ever shown any obvious signs of having what August has. I've pored over grainy sepia pictures of long dead relatives in babushkas, black and white snapshots of distant cousins in crisp white linen suits, soldiers in uniforms, ladies in beehive hairdos, Polaroids of bell-bottomed teenagers, and long-haired hippies, and not once have I been able to detect even the slightest trace of August's face in their faces. Not a one. But after August was born, my parents underwent genetic test counseling. They were told that August had what seemed to be a previously unknown type of maldebulofacial dysautosis caused by an autosomal recessive mutation of the TCOF1 gene, which is located on chromosome 5, complicated by a hemifacial microsomia characteristic of AOV spectrum. Sometimes these mutations occur during pregnancy. Sometimes they're inherited from one parent carrying the dominant gene. Sometimes they're caused by the interaction of many genes, possibly in combination with environmental factors. This is called multifactorial inheritance. In August's case, the doctors were able to identify one of the single nucleotide deletion mutations, which made war on his face. The weird thing is, though, you'd never know it from looking at them. Both my parents carry that mutant gene, and I carry it too. If I have children, there's a 1 in 2 chance that I will pass one of the defective genes to them. That doesn't mean they'll look like August, but they'll carry the gene that I got a double dose in August. That got double dosed in August and helped make him the way he is. If I marry someone who has the same defective gene, there is a 1 in 2 chance that our child will carry the gene and look totally normal, a 1 in 4 chance that our kids will not carry the gene at all, and a 1 in 4 chance that our kids will look like August. If August has children with someone who doesn't have a trace of the gene, there's a 100% probability that their kids will inherit the gene, but a 0% chance that their kids will have a double dose of it, like August, which means they'll carry the gene no matter what, but they could look totally normal. If he marries someone who has the gene, their kids will have the same odds as my kids. This only explains the part of August that's explainable. There's the other part of his genetic makeup that's not inherited, but just incredibly bad luck. Countless doctors have drawn little tic-tac grids for my parents over the years to try to explain the genetic lottery to them. Geneticists use these Punnett squares to determine inheritance, recessive and dominant genes, probabilities, and chance. But for all they know, there's more that they don't know. They can try to forecast the odds, but they can't guarantee them. They use terms like germ-like metastasis, chromosome arrangement, or delayed mutation to explain why their science is not an exact science. I actually like how doctors talk. I like the sound of science. I like how words you don't understand explain things you don't understand. There are countless people under words like germline metastasis, chromosome arrangement, or delayed mutation. Countless babies who'll never be born, like